We have recently all witnessed the collapse of our infrastructure as a result of the floods that hit us. And it became clear that we do not have climate resilient infrastructure. It also became clear that many of the works were actually substandard. Infrastructure is poor, badly designed, poorly constructed, and a real danger to all of us. And the likely reason is some of our professionals who had been entrusted with the responsibility of delivering these projects, both at the level of design, construction, and ultimate delivery, failed in their duties. And most of them fail not because they are professionally incompetent. They fail because somebody somewhere must have given them something in order for them not to apply themselves as their profession requires them to. And so, in procurement, in construction, and in many other aspects, there's a lot of rent-seeking behavior. There's a lot of corruption. There's a lot of bribery. There's a lot of professional impropriety. There is rampant abuse of public office. Fact. And I think we know these facts. We've seen the devastating consequences sounding in lives and livelihoods, and a huge loss to our economy. We are under obligation as a country, all of us, to develop this country, to grow our economy. The resources we need to grow this economy, we do not have within the country. We need to attract them from outside the country. We need to attract foreign direct investment. And foreign direct investment, as I understand it, is of three types. The dominant, popular, but also very dangerous form of foreign direct investment is what they call resource-seeking FDI, where these moneyed individuals and corporations come here to get raw material, get our resources, which we extract from the bowels of the earth here, and which we then cut away in the raw to these places where they are then processed into finished products. And over the years, we've contented ourselves with being just a source of these raw materials, or in the raw taken outside the country. The second type of FDI is what they call market-seeking foreign direct investment, where there's a huge market that these foreign corporations come here to access. And so when you look at our country, with its small population of about 2.4 million, you will agree that it is not much of a market to attract market-seeking FDI. So we are challenged in that regard. We are, they say, landlocked. We don't have direct access to the sea, to a port. So what can we possibly offer with respect to market-seeking FDI? Not much, it seems, if anything at all. The third type of FDI they call efficiency-seeking foreign direct investment, where these individuals, these corporations come here because it is efficient to do business here. We need to offer these efficiencies to attract this type of foreign direct investment. This is a challenge. We spend a lot of time in Parliament, all over, debating frivolities and trivia, point scoring, cheap politicking, when we are faced with such grave, life-threatening challenges as a country. You go to Parliament, 90% of the time, the members of Parliament are asking questions. What are the questions? When is the classroom door at Komokasitwa or Toromoja being fixed? Here's a member of Parliament who was in Toromoja, some far-flung place, so that this door needed fixing. He comes all the way to Gaborone, goes to Parliament, formulates a question that joins a queue of other such questions. After a week or two, this question is then presented on the floor of Parliament. And in that period, that door could have been fixed if this individual had approached the rightful authorities, bearing the responsibility of dealing with these matters. Why did he choose to do this? His interest or her interest is not in the fixing of that door. It's on self-exaltation. They want to be recognized and praised. Meanwhile, the door has not been fixed. And there will be some debate. And it takes a lot of time on the floor of Parliament. That is one. Two, motions. A motion. This House advises or requests government to consider. The function of Parliament is to make laws, which laws, when made, will bind the executive. They will not request it to consider. The executive will be bound, because that is how this constitutional threesome operates. You bind the executive by making the laws. And Section 86 says, make laws for the good governance of the Republic. You are asking questions of the most frivolous type with respect most of the time. You are moving motions that have absolutely no effect. And if you go over all these years and ask how many motions have actually made any impact, not much. What are we expending our energies on as professionals, as people in whom this nation invested? We are failing. I think one scholar, Julian Bender, called it the treason of the intellectuals. The intellectuals are committing intellectual treason. They are failing this country. We are failing as professionals. And I'm saying this to the professor or the professors here from the university. Your charges are joining this chorus of frivolity, of pettiness that doesn't advance our nation. Back to FDR. Market seeking. Where we are positioned as a country, we now say we are land linked. We are the best located country in Southern Africa because we provide access to Namibia, to Zimbabwe, to South Africa, to Zambia. We are so strategically located that we can actually be and should have been a hub, transportation and logistics hub. There's no better positioned country than us in these regards. And if we approach development in this manner, we then realize that we need to invest resources in developing world-class infrastructure. Climate resilient, world-class. We need the best surface transportation infrastructure. Roads, very good, world-class roads. We need world-class airports. We need world-class facilities. We don't have. I was embarrassed. I was in Addis Ababa for the first time. I've always been on transit. I went into the city for just a week. I was embarrassed to see, because I thought we were somewhat among the best in terms of infrastructure. We're actually the poorest. We don't have facilities here. Some folks came here, they asked, do you have a convention center? I said, yeah, we have a few. They went and checked, and they came back to me and said, no, you don't have any convention center. You have places that can at best be used for weddings, and even then, low budget weddings. I was embarrassed. We need world-class infrastructure to attract. Look at Rwanda. They have the infrastructure. So everybody is now going to Kigali. Why are they not coming to Botswana? This is the best place. Very stable democracy. We quarrel, we argue, but we don't fight and kill each other. It is safe, just about the safest in the region, in the sub-region. Why are we not attracting? We do not have the infrastructure. The challenge for our country, any government, has always been, remains, construction of world-class infrastructure. We need the resources to do this. We should have done it. We didn't. We failed. And because there's been rampant corruption. Corruption. Which brings us to what we are wrestling with here. People make a lot of money from corruption. They channel it through friends, through relatives, through paramours, and all sorts of illicit ways. Ill-gotten proceeds of crime. They become very difficult to track. And meanwhile, the country is sinking. Who sank the country? The professionals, the educated people who were tasked and trusted with the responsibility of growing this economy, constructing a resilient infrastructure ecosystem. We don't have. If we had this infrastructure, foreign direct investment would come here. Why? If we position ourselves as a hub, I can tell you, the volume of business that this country would do is astronomical. We would hive off a lot of business from such places as Durban, South Africa, and it would come here. And examples are plenty. We've failed to take advantage of some of these because largely corruption has been rampant. It has run amok. Efficiency. What do we need? We need wholesale, unapologetic, robust digitization, where people don't have to go to immigration to queue for a passport. People don't have to go to roads transport department to queue for a driver's license or a renewal of your Umar. Why do you have to go and queue and waste time when the fourth industrial revolution has placed us in a position where these services can literally be delivered from your handset? Why do you have to go around carrying medical records when these can be safely, electronically, digitally stored, easily retrievable by the medical practitioners? Why do we struggle so much? It is because we have not invested both intellectually and practically in the requisite digital infrastructure. The courts filing could be so much easier. Documents filed seamlessly and no adulteration, no corruption of the document. System technology is at a level where these things can be done so easily, so quickly, so efficiently. And when we do this, we save a lot of money, a lot of wastage in our economy. Of course, there is corruption, which accounts for, they said, about 35% corruption on. But there's a substantial loss occasioned by inefficiency in all our systems. And so these are the challenges that take us back to the issue of corruption, financial impropriety, illicit financial flows, their detection, their investigation, their prosecution, and ultimately ensuring that these proceeds of crime are recovered, traced and recovered and returned to the people. On the African continent, the country that has been most successful in these regards is Angola. Since the last regime, they have recovered upwards of 30 billion US dollars. Money stolen. So they are the exemplars, they are the leading lights in these regards. Zambia, the president of Zambia was telling me they are now benchmarking, learning from Angola. We must also scale up our efforts. We must scale them up because it is important for the very survival of our country and our people But it is also important because we've been grey listed before. And if we get grey listed again, the consequences will be even more devastating for us as a country. And so we need to be very, very deliberate, very intentional about addressing these issues. We will be evaluated in 2027. We are doing, or we've done, self-evaluation. The Financial Intelligence Agency is in charge of that process. We are failing at the moment. Before 2027, we have an opportunity to self-correct. Otherwise, we will be grey listed. We have now, amazingly, huge interest from international investors. Huge, massive interest. They want to come and invest here. And they call and they want, sometimes I duck and dive because I get embarrassed. But they do come. They're coming every day. I haven't slept in weeks, months now, because I have to be in the office the whole day. And some of these meetings I schedule from 7 until 12 every day. These folks come in, they want to be attended. You can't sleep. The people need projects, they need investment, you need jobs. We have no time to sleep, to rest. There's no time. And so we all must realize the huge responsibility we bear. Leadership is not the president. Jean-Pierre Bourdieu, that French philosopher, said leadership is dispersed. It's all over. Every one of us is a leader, and we must lead. In our own estuaries and spaces, we must lead. We now have, and we've said this, and there's pressure. People are asking, the naysayers are saying it was a political gimmick. It was not. When we said we want to conduct a forensic audit, we were not joking. We were dead serious. And a lot of people think this is some political witch hunt. It is not. I have no time for any witch hunt. I have absolutely no time, no interest. Not in my nature. Not a vindictive person. No. I get angry, of course, sometimes, but the biggest fault I have is after I get angry, a few seconds later, I want to return to the anger. I don't even remember what I was angry about. That feeling is gone. That's I think, a strength that the Almighty has given. So I don't bear grudges. But people think we must pursue individuals. It's not about individuals. It's about principles. And so when we conduct the audit, we want to establish the efficacy of the institutions that we have had. Where did these institutions fail and falter? How? How can we correct? How can we make these institutions better and more robust? That's the high aim of the audit. So we establish the quantum of loss, if any. And of course, there has to be accountability. It's about all these things. But it is not about vindictiveness. It's not about witch hunting. It's not about demonizing anybody. And so we will conclude the process. And because I want to take you into my confidence, judges and eminent persons, so that those who think there's no seriousness appreciate that we are dead serious. One of the challenges was there was a query about one of the state enterprises. necessitating an audit, it was felt. The court came and said to audit just that one entity would cost 30 million pula. 30. Now, this forensic audit that we have to undertake, the Vice President was telling me that some time back there was an attempt to do a targeted audit. And the amount that was quoted was 250 million pula. And I'm sitting there in a country that is challenged, that may not be able to pay even the salaries, but is unable to pay certain very essential services. And I'm sitting here and prioritizing. Do I spend $1 billion in this audit, which is so necessary? What do I do? So I had to examine all the options. And it turns out that this audit can actually be done. And the quote I have now, which I'm going with, says we can do this whole thing for 4.5 million US dollars. And they say 30 state-owned enterprises and the rest of government. Not 250 million for one or two, but around 60 million for a comprehensive audit by international professionals. And I wanted to avoid local entities because we are a very small nation. The affinities, the filiations and affiliations run deep and understandably. So when the verdict comes and it points to somebody, you might say, no, but this guy doesn't like me. I know him. I grew up with this chap in Mahalab. He's never liked me. I wanted to avoid all these things. So the audit will take place so that we can then self-correct as a country. But where, as an outcome of the audit, criminal prosecutions must ensue, they will. And they will not come to me. They will go to the judges. That's their job, happily. And they will do their job. I trust that the courts will do their job. The only problem that the Zambian president was raising, which they are trying to address in Zambia, is the delays in getting these cases dealt with and finalized. And so in Zambia, they are saying they want to set a time frame, 5 months. I don't know whether it is feasible to do that, but I think the point is that we must deal with them as quickly as possible so that people know their fate and we have finality in relation to these matters. And so the task that the judges carry is big, it's huge, much bigger than mine. All I have to do is ask people to investigate, and then the rest of the institutions will do their way. Then it will fall on the lap of the judicial system to deal with these issues, to resolve them. And so the evaluation by FATF and ASAMLA looks at whether we have a regulatory framework that is credible, that is robust, that can address these issues of illicit flows, money laundering, terrorism financing, proliferation financing. And we fare very well in that regard. In fact, they say to us, your aspirations sometimes are unreasonable. You have taken and appropriated standards that are too high, much higher than some of the countries in the developed world. You are only beginners. You should have proceeded in baby steps. Your legislation should not have been as rigorous, as demanding as it is now. You've brought upon yourself very huge obligations. But that's not where the problem lies. They say we fail. We fare badly when it comes to effectiveness. This is where the real problem is. Are our institutions effective? Are the practices themselves effective in combating these crimes? And they say no. How do they check? They say, you said 100 billion was stolen. You said it. It's not anybody else saying it. You yourselves said it. You then went on to say there was financing of terrorism yourselves. So we are looking at you. So the whole world looks at us. Botswana, 100 billion. This is dangerous to the international financial order. Who raised all this? It's ourselves. Why did we raise these things in the manner that we did? What were we pursuing? And so this threatens, it becomes an existential threat to the whole country. And then they look at us. I was asking the Financial Intelligence Agency, I said, do we have our own local definition of terrorism? Or we rely on the known international understanding? I said, no, we rely on that one. Do we have our own terrorist organizations, or we rely on those that have been identified under these frameworks? So no, we rely on those. So it's ISIS, Daesh, Taliban, Boko Haram, these known ones. Yes. How then, I was asking, how then did we come to allege that a young Botswana, however much we may have despised her and those she worked with or worked for, how did we come to accuse her of financing terrorism? Which terrorist organization were we referring to? Why? Why did we do all? Government? The president can sit, if I sat and did all these things, they would have to question. You have a right. I'm not the law unto myself. I'm not running without controls. I'm regulated by a strict environment, controlling legislation, the Constitution, the works. How can I operate outside of this and bring the country under so much scrutiny internationally, so much danger? And they said to me, in that period, investor confidence in the country plummeted. It fell by 26%. That is huge. Huge. So we pose a threat to the country in the behaviors of politicians, whoever we are. And so when people say to me, as they expect, fire people, no. First, I don't have the power to do, I don't even have the inclination, the conscience to do it. For what reason? Why would I fire anybody? For no cause? Just because I don't like them? Because of their politics? No. And that's one consideration that doesn't matter with me. I don't care about anybody's politics. I don't. I honestly don't. That doesn't matter to me. Never mattered. Maybe it did sometime to know where I can go and where I cannot go. But now it doesn't. So those who expect people to be fired because they were known activists, no, that's not the criterion. Merit, competence, integrity, that's all. That is it. And so we will have the audit, this is the point I'm making, reasonably priced, international standards, professionally, with an element, cutting-edge capabilities for asset tracing and recovery, so that we demonstrate to our people our seriousness about combating corruption, illicit financial flows, financial crime. We count on the judiciary to ensure that these cases are, we are not saying abridge, we are not saying violate anybody's rights. We are a human rights-based regime. So we would want all these things upheld, respected, but the law must be applied. And without fear or favor. So I am here to say to you, these efforts will help us safeguard the resources we need for this world-class infrastructure, the resources we need for massive, robust, wholesale digitization to create the efficiencies this economy needs. We will then be able to grow this economy, grow our GDP, create new cities. And that's the ambition. And I said to the public servants when I addressed them the first time, when they came to see me, I said, welcome to the madhouse. When I say that, then I said to them, I'm a madman in the world of ideas. I'm a dreamer of big dreams, dreams of immensity, dreams of intensity, dreams not about self, dreams about country, dreams about our people. This is what it's about for me. Then I can walk away. Anytime when I realize I have demonstrated that these things are possible, that every person here can dream and realize you can go to sleep today a common person and wake up tomorrow a president. It's easy. It happens. It happened to me. Who had expected? Maybe I did, because I fought for it and I knew it was coming. I have no doubt in my mind. But any other person would never have imagined. So it is an example that says, no, it's not that I'm special. No. It's about tenacity. It's about grit. It's about fighting, not because you want money, not because you want fame, not because you want fortune, but because you have a principle. You believe so much in it that you can forsake everything and fight for it. That's all a young person growing in Botswana needs to know. And if you are looking for any example, take mine. Ordinary, humble beginnings. That's it. It happens. It can happen. It will happen to many. So we want this country in the shortest possible time. And I've put 3 years. In the next 3 years, and I'm saying it here so that you can hold me to it. This country will look spectacularly different in the next 3 years. 3 years, not 5. You know those who believe, the believers say the word, the spoken word. That's why they sometimes say, in the beginning was the Word. The Word was with God. And the Word was God. The Word has creative capabilities. So I'm speaking these words as an affirmation, indeed as a prophecy, that it is going to happen. And it is not going to happen because I'm here. No. It will happen because the institutions that we are all reconfiguring, constructing together as a society will make it happen. They will conduce to making it happen. This is not a one-man show. No, the president is just a... Look, you know me. There's nothing magical about me. Nothing. Just ordinary. So why would you think there's some specialness? It's him. No. It's all of us. So we need to appreciate this, all of us, and play our roles in the different spaces that we occupy. Create these efficiencies. Ensure there is no corruption. There is no abuse of office. Ensure that the decisions we take are not malicious. They are not self-serving. They serve the country and the people. And where there are any transgressions, let us attend to them quickly. And let us send a clear message and signal of the kind of society that we now are. And that we are serious about this lofty goal of ensuring in the next 3 years this country looks spectacularly different. The institutions will be world-class. Our judiciary will be capacitated. Because these resources, once we have them, we can channel them. There was a time we argued that, especially at the Court of Appeal, that these judges must have at least 2 research assistants to assist them in their research, make their work easier. Because you expect a judge, how many pages? About maybe thousands of pages they have to read per session of the court. They are human beings. And the lawyers will file bulky heads of argument. And there's actually a study that was done about what impact the arguments that are advanced in court, the paperwork that is submitted has in influencing the outcome of the case. There are decisions, there's research, they chronicle this. But sometimes we overburden the judges. If they have support, then they will be able to examine the issues. They will be able to write well-reasoned judgments. They will be able to guide, and we will know what it is that is allowed and what it is that is not allowed. Because some school of thought says the law is really what the judges pronounce, nothing else. And Oliver Wendell Holmes says nothing more pretentious. The decisions of the judges. So these decisions must therefore be informed. The judges supported with the relevant technology and all the support they need so that they can help us address illicit financial flows. These are my hurried thoughts to you, humbly given from the heart, so we know what we are trying to do. And you are free to participate, either in critiquing, sharing your own thoughts, and people do these days. They bombard with all sorts of messages. You are not doing this, you are not doing that, and I smile, and check, and I note. It's free for all. That's why I don't want to be called His Excellency. It might just create a barrier. I want you to be able to access me freely. You want to see me? You don't pay anybody. You don't beg. You just ask, is this chap available? Which chap? This guy, the president. If he is available, he will see you. I will sit down with you. You will tell me what you think. And I will listen, and I will learn, and I will heed. That's what it's about. That's humility. And so, at the end of it all, as I conclude, reimagination. The Italian philosopher Giambattista Vico said, we made society. It's a human artifact. We can remake it. We must reimagine it. We must reimagine this country spectacularly different from what it is now, at all levels. So we need to now summon our faculties of imagination. And my former professor at Harvard Law School says, imagination is that aspect of the mind that is neither modular nor formulaic, that has the ability to combine everything with everything else, that advances in insight by defying its own methods and presuppositions, that strides into the future by reimagining the adjacent possibilities. Imagination. That's what will come to our rescue. Reimagine our institutions. Reimagine our courts. Reimagine our police service. Reimagine our presidency. Reimagine our parliament. Reimagine every institution, because ultimately it's about how we relate with these habitual settings of our actions. Are we context smashing, or are we prisoners? Are we hostages of these institutions? When I say I'm a madman in the world of ideas, I'm liberated. I'm not a prisoner of any institution. And I want us to collectively reimagine our society, reimagine our roles, and play those roles. This is a time when you can call the president and summon him and sit him down and tell him, you're messing up, brother, friend, or whatever you think you are. You need to look at this, that, and the other. And I'll do it. That's the humility that we must all enact for the good of our country, and ultimately for our own good. So, I was not here to open. I was here just to share these wild thoughts with you, to confide, to share, and to invite you to help reimagine this country.